Well, here we are again, out in the shop. I was told this time that the reason or the concern was, one, the power steering was a little stiff when it was cold, made a racket. I took a clip of it. It's depending on the temperature, depending on how long it's been sitting, sometimes it can be louder than other times. I did take a little brief clip there. I'll see if I can get the noise. But basically, power steering here, when you start hearing that and your car's just idling, it means, it can mean a few things. One, it means that your power steering fluid is low, but we've kept this one topped up and the noise still continues to happen. What I've started to notice, and I don't know how well the light will pick it up, is all down in here, it's all covered in oil. Generally what that means is there's now become a leak in the system. And Subaru power steering pumps are notorious for leaks in various areas. One are these hoses. You can see how stiff this hose is. I can barely even squeeze it. Shouldn't be that stiff. This one down here is pretty stiff as well. And then the other one is that there's an O-ring underneath here, and the O-ring actually starts to wear out. And what will happen is, with the O-ring worn out, it sucks air. And when it starts to suck air, then it can cause that noise to happen within the system. And you can see here, it's just this little tiny O-ring. And so what I'm gonna do is I went to pick and pull, or a U-pull type yard this weekend, and I got not only this upper hose, but I've also got this lower one over here from a used vehicle that's in much better shape. So I'm hoping those will work. They're easy to replace. This is the suction side. So basically when there's fluid in here, it'll pull it up into the power steering pump. It goes down to the rack and then it comes back into the bottle and then ends up back over here. So what I'm going to do, because I don't know the condition of the fluid in this or anything, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking off the O-ring and replacing that. I'm going to be replacing this large hose. And then over here on the return line, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off, as well as the bottle, because there's so much oil down here that I'm going to be degreasing all down in the bottom here. And once I have this stuff all removed over here, maybe I'll bring you back and show you how bad it is. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this, and I'm going to run another line so that I can put new fluid into here, lift up the front end, and then I'll move the wheels back and forth side to side and put new fluid through the whole system. And when I see it coming back from the return line, then I'll close off the system, fill it up, and then hopefully the noise goes away. If the noise doesn't go away, then the problem is that the power steering pump itself is a problem. And you can choose to pick up a new one if you want, but they're usually refurbished or remanufactured. You're probably not going to get much mileage out of those. They don't really do much work on them, I find. So what I would probably do is go back to the U-pull, find another power steering pump, and throw it in the system. So what I'm going to do right now is we'll start pulling stuff apart, and then from there we'll start doing the flush. So I'll just set you guys up here so you can kind of see what's going on and time lapse it, and then move along. I've also got cardboard down on the floor in case anything decides to make a mess, which it most likely will. It's already been slowly leaking down onto the floor, so we're going to try and minimize that as much as possible. Hit the floor, we're good. Might help if I put it on the right way. All right, start taking this stuff apart. So as I'm doing this, I can see that there is a ton of dirt and crap around that, so I don't want that. So I don't know where my wire brush went. That's fine, I'll make it work here. Now when you do pull this up, there is a good chance, depending on how much fluid is in here, that it will leak. And I can see that it did want to leak, but I decided to hold back, and it's still going to let out a bit here. So we'll just, yep, nice fluid all over the power steering pump. So you can see there, that's that O-ring, and it wears out and gets worn out, and then it needs to be replaced. You can see it's, I don't know how well the camera will pick it up, but it's pretty squared. It's pretty stiff and brittle. It's junk. Nice, new, fresh, and flexible. So it's just gonna go back in right there. Pop it in. And sit it down. So this is the hose, and you can see how much more flexible this one is. Now, this one isn't like great by any means, and maybe down the road at some point in time I will replace this one. But for now, this one will work much better. So before I do that, I gotta take some more things off here. So the first thing I'm going to take off that I need to do is I need to take off the snorkel here for the air cleaner. Pull that off. All right, to make it easy, I just cut that. So that one's free. And now I got to pull this one off. And hopefully this doesn't make a big mess up here. So that one's free, the bottom one is free. And we're going to slide this out and hook this. We're going to try not pour transmission fluid everywhere. All right, so you can see here just how much oil and crap is all on this thing. So I have to check and see if the actual reservoir is leaking or if it might be something else. And if we take my light, well, you can see how much, just how gross and oily it is in there from this thing leaking. So what my plan is, I got some heavy degreaser, but I'm going to take off this bracket here. It's just 2 bolts that holds that on. I can get that out, clean that up. I might, I really don't want to, but I might take out the air box. Looks like it goes underneath there quite a ways. So I might take out the air box and then clean that all up. So what I'll do right now is I'll take the minute, I'll take the bracket off, take the air box off, and when I have that all out, I'll bring you guys back and then show you what I'm going to do from there. Now, I'm not always the best for wearing gloves, considering how gross and disgusting it is down there. I think this is a time that calls for it, and also a heavy towel, because I think there's just so much crap down here that not only are gloves going to be more beneficial and a heavy rag, and this way I can make sure that both my hands stay clean, and I can get a lot of this crap out. So I'm going to spend a few minutes here, get this all sort of cleaned up, and then start doing some installs. All right, so I won't sit here and make you watch this whole thing, but you can kind of see what my purpose is. Getting all the grease and the old oil and debris out of there. Like I said, it's a big mess. And you can see how much is down here on the floor, all over the place. So I'll get this all cleaned up, get it all ready to get back together. When I'm ready to put the air box and the reservoir and everything back in, I'll bring you guys back and show you what it looks like before I do that, so you can see how clean it is and how much better it is. All right, so I got all the mess down there cleaned. I don't know how well you can see it on there, if you can see it at all. Yeah, you can see it. So you can see how nice and clean it looks down in there. So I wasn't trying to make it spotless. I was just trying to get it so it was clean, so that the majority of the oil and grease was out, and so that that any new dirt won't stick. You can also see that I cleaned this all up. It doesn't look like it was leaking anywhere. So now basically what I need to do is, so this is that lower bracket for the reservoir. So I'll get that cleaned up here just in a sec, and then so I got all the grease and dirt and crap removed from that, so we can get that back installed. Okay, so I think I found the one that I was looking for. This one's in the wrong spot. The other two are on the floor. All right, that's back installed. And this is the reservoir. That's back installed. But before I do that, what I want to do is I want to put my new hose on first. Make sure that's going on the right way. I think it is. That'll come up. That'll lock in. Get that lined up. I'll get onto it. All right, so that is the suction hose hooked up. It's got the clamp there, it's got the clamp down there. The bottle's installed. So now, with that, let's take a look at the lid. So the lid looks fine, just needs a bit of cleaning. So now what you want to do, you can kind of bleed this system, because God knows what's in it. So it is recommended ATF fluid in this. Just so happens I have a bunch of Subaru ATF fluid because I got to do a transmission flush on this at some point. So I'll just use this for now. Okay, So now, out of that other line, I'm gonna put that there. So what I'm hoping will happen, and hopefully doesn't turn into a catastrophic mess, is get sucked into here with new fluid. From there it'll come back out here into this bottle, and this is just kind of here so that in case anything wants to come back, kick out, it can go back there. But I'm hoping that all the fluid will come back into here. So let's see what happens. All right, so we got some really gross looking fluid in there. That's emptied. So we'll put a little bit more in there. This spot's not leaking, so that's good to see. Ooh. Well, that sucked. What I didn't want happen happened. A lot, apparently. I'll clean up on number 32. So, I don't know how well I can get this to show. Ooh, this bottle's just disgusting. It's all slimy. Slimy! So, yeah, it's tough to see, but you can see how dark that is. So I'm going to do this a couple more times. Hopefully not have a catastrophic leak again, but that's just the way it happens sometimes. Make sure everything's out of the way. One more start. All right, so I'm starting to see nice red foam on top, so that tells me that we got some good fluid flowing through. So I got nothing in here, so nothing came out, which is good. Now comes the fun part. Time to make a mess on the bottom again. I'm gonna put this down here on the bottom because I have a feeling it's gonna make a big mess. I don't know how much fluid is still left in the. There's more. But I imagine there's a bit in there. Take this around. Rotate that around. All right, so yep, those two lines are back on. So we're gonna put a little bit more fluid in there. Where is it? Fill it up good because it's gonna go through the system. And it's at, oh, looks like it's at the cold mark. It's hard to tell, it's a little dirty. Cold max. All right, so lid on it. Clean up everything off the top. We'll do another start. So you can hear how much it's whining and squealing. So that's going to be just because it's low on fluid. It's sucked down a lot already. Put in more here. Another start. So that time I was moving the wheel back and forth. I can see that the did not go down a whole lot, which is good. Major amount of air in there. So that's telling me that there's a lot of air in the system. All right, so just did a back and forth on it there. Still extremely foamy in there. Looking a little dark on the bottom. I don't know if I have anything to suck it up with. I'll try an old trick here that talked to me. I don't know how well it's gonna work, but we'll try. Yeah, it's pretty black in there. All right, so basically, that's all there is to this. You could hear that the system was still a little whiny, but that's just mostly because, you know, it's just so low in fluid. Right now, it still needs more fluid. It's very foamy. I haven't done any lock to lock on this one or anything like that. But before I can go any further, I unfortunately do need to pull that fluid out of there. And if I try disconnecting that lower hose, unfortunately, it will dump fluid all over the place. I had picked up a long time ago a turkey baster so that I could clean this out, but I did not know where said turkey baster went. Found this old attachment for our sink, and I put some hose on it, and away we go. This is so gross in here. Anyone want a Dairy Queen transmission fluid Slurpee? Whew, wearing off that Christmas fat doing this, I tell you. Anyways, I won't sit here and bore you with me doing this for like 3 hours because I don't want to go to the store and get a turkey baster or a fluid pump. I mean, it's working, it's just a lot of fluid in there. So I'm going to continue doing this. Oh, it came out of the fluid. We'll just continue with my Dairy Queen daiquiri. You want some? Looks good. It's like pumping out strawberry jam right now, but not strawberry jam. All right, looks like we're out. Time to fill her back up and put more fluid in. Glug, glug, glug. Now I am overfilling this just because I know how much is in the system and how low it is, and I know it's going to chew it in. So, all right, one of these so far. Well, I can't really tell, but she looks nice and dark again. So I'm going to keep doing this. I don't know how long. It's going to be a while. I'll bring you back once I have the car up in the air and I think it's at a point where it's not going to keep puking out dark fluid. How long? I don't know. It's going to take a time. So when I'm ready, I'll bring you guys back. All right. You can hear there's a slight whine still, but there could possibly be some airflow in the system. So that's good. No leaks here, no leaks there, or here. That's nice and topped off. Here's the bottle. You can see it's still kind of dark, but there's a lot of air in it. So we'll probably just let it ride like this for a bit. And then change out the fluid one more time. You can see the power steering is nice and quiet. Gets that typical noise when it's all the way over to the far side, which I'm not concerned about. Nice and quiet. It's nice and smooth from one side to the other. No hitching, no stuttering, no stiffness. That's just me over cranking it a little bit there. Same with that. Back to center. Feels good inside, easy to turn. I can pretty much turn this thing with one finger if I want. So you can see that, you know, when you hear that noise, obviously it can be something as simple as just being low on power steering fluid. And I mean, if you're low on power steering fluid, then that's a super easy fix. Unfortunately, with the Subarus, I mean, it's a common issue with that O-ring underneath here, causing that to happen, and then you just get all the air inside the system. Also, if you don't change your fluid, causes problems. These two hoses, you know, like with that last one on here, it was super stiff. This one, nice and soft. This one's nice and soft, so I don't have to worry about those. I probably won't even change those. All right, so battery died, plugged into the wall. Don't have much time here. Basically what I was saying was that these two hoses here, this one and this one, I mean, if you really want to replace them, you can. I suggest doing it through somewhere like Rock Auto. I took a look at Subaru. They're like $30 a hose. You can get them off Rock Auto for like 10 bucks. So don't go crazy on those. O-ring, I will put the part number for the O-ring in the description for this car, but this one's a 2006, and apparently there is a difference in these O-rings, and the difference basically resides around how or what this fitting is on the top of the power steering pump. There's apparently 2 or 3 different variations. I'm not 100% sure. But depending on the year of your car and the power steering pump that you have, that O-ring part number will change. So for this 2006 Forester, I'll put the part number in there so that if anyone wants to reference back to what that is, I can do that, and then you guys can look at that as well. But other than that, I mean, this was a fairly simple job. If I had to have done the power steering pump, again, it's not a super hard job to do a power steering pump on these. It's like the hardest thing is basically taking the belt off. But everything else is simple, and it's not that bad. Cost, well, if you look at going and purchasing a new pump or a reman pump, you're probably looking at a couple $100 or less, depending on where you buy it. You can take your chances on a U-pole, probably cost you 40 or 50 bucks. I mean, it depends on how you want to go. Personally, myself, I always go the cheap route because, I mean, you get a 30-day warranty on a lot of them. And a 30-day warranty, I mean, you'll know within a week or two if there's going to be any problems. If after you buy the U-pole one and you still have problems, then I mean, you'll have to look at buying a new one. But at least at that point, I mean, you're $40 out plus whatever the new one will be, and then your time twice times 2. So you have to basically weigh the pros and cons of doing a job like this. I got away lucky. It was a simple O-ring. I didn't have to do the hoses, but they were in bad enough shape that I just, you know, I didn't want to mess around with it. I didn't want to be back under here unless I absolutely had to be. So for now, I'm going to say it's done. The girlfriend will drive it around. She's good at letting me know if there's issues or any weirdness. And then if there's nothing, we'll call this one good. I got to put it down on the ground, install the air box, finish it up, tighten up a few odds and ends. And then basically it'll be back on the ground and she can go drive it. We still got a lot of stuff to do on it. Waiting on gaskets. Got to do the block heater still. Got to do the oil cooler. Got to do the O2 sensor. But the ironic thing about that is, of those 3 things, the intake or the exhaust manifold has to come down. So going to be putting another order into Rock Auto. It's crazy how much us Canadians order through those guys. But it's, you know, it's one of those things where locally I'll pay, you know, $40 for one gasket, and Rock Auto will be $10. Even with shipping, it still comes out cheaper. So us Canadians, we use Rock Auto so much all the time up here because even with shipping, it's so much cheaper. So yeah, so those videos will be coming down the line. I'm not sure when. I think I'm going to be putting in the order for that stuff either tonight or tomorrow. Maybe next weekend. I'll be working on that. I haven't quite decided yet. So there's that. And yeah, so welcome to 2022. This is the first video that I'll be releasing. I do hope to have more. I do want to put out more, but again, time and everything else sort of takes, you know, for me and my life and what's going on with me, that stuff takes sort of priority. I would like to spend more time doing this, but unfortunately, when you're a small guy like me, YouTube doesn't pay a whole lot, if any at all. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that we do or that we want to do basically comes from, you know, out of pocket and wherever we can put some money aside to do these things. So do want to put more videos out for you guys. Hope to put more videos out. End of 2021 was a good year. Had a lot of videos put out. So I want to keep that going into 2022. So for now, signing off, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.